What's up, everyone? How are you all doing? Welcome to this new episode of The Ways of the Mapuche. I am Barbara, and as always, it is my pleasure to be your host. Today's episode is very special to me because we have a guest, a friend of mine that I have known for a long time. Rocio, the mic is yours.
Hello, everyone. It's very nice to be here, and I have to say, I was very happy when I received the invitation from Barbara to come to this podcast.
Did you?
Yeah, I remember when you told me about this project back when you started, and I was hoping that you would succeed. And here we are now. So, dear audience, today's episode is about gender in Mapuche communities.
Indeed. I didn't know the depth of this topic, and I have been very eager to discover new information about it. It's kind of a specific one, so it did demand a lot of effort to research good information about it.
I have to say that I did see the struggle of Barbara when she was researching, but my friend is a hard working person and researched very in depth for this episode.
Yes, I did, and that's why I thought it was a good idea to have a guest that didn't know about the topic and explain it to them. Because while researching, I realized that I do have some misconceptions about this topic, and I think that it's crucial to talk about them. First, do you want to answer a question?
Okay, sure.
Well, then, what is gender for you?
I have to say that it's a hard question to answer. For me, it is a concept that defines my identity. Does that make sense? I know it's related to sexuality, but I can be more specific than that since I'm not that informed about the subject.
Well, you are on the right track. Gender refers to the social concept of roles, behaviors, activities, and attributes that each society considers appropriate for men and women. It is a concept that depends on the society that we are talking about. For our society, at this time, gender means something specific that isn't the same idea that Mapuche people had way before the Spaniard conquerors arrived. In fact, this concept is in dispute not only in Mapuche's communities, but also in others, such as Inuit in North America, for example, as according to Taylor in the article, even after Christianity did its utmost to distort sexuality for us, we still don't have the word promiscuity in our language.
Oh, I hadn't noticed the importance of that. Well, maybe I kind of knew it, but that really puts it as something we should be way more conscious about, right? To wonder about what gender might mean to Mapuches, it's important because, well, a lot of people in Chile are related to them and also have their own communities. I do think that it's something way more relevant than we give it credit for.
That's a very good point, my friend. In this topic, we can talk about what Judith Butler argues in Gender Trouble, where she stated that gender is not biological in essence, but a social construct. This means that gender identities are the result of cultural norms and social practices that have developed over time. Butler also introduces the concept of performativity, which implies that gender is not something that just is, but is also done through repeated acts. Every time a person acts according to gender norms, they are performing an act that reinforces those norms on others and themselves.
I think I see the problem here. Mapuche people were attacked and put down by the oppression of the Spanish, right? That means that the performativity, as Butler described, will be deformed by this.
Exactly. The imposition of a system of domination based on race and gender had a profound impact on the Mapuche community. As stated by Quijano in Colonialidad del Poder, Eurocentrismo y América Latina, the Mapuche, like other indigenous people, were classified and subordinated in this new order. Even if, as Gill stated, indigenous people had their own ways of comprehending life in their communities, had well formed societal structures, there isn't really a valid point if we decided to refer to them as inferior, because there isn't a universal rule that allows us to do that. Gender has played a fundamental role in various indigenous communities and cultures across America. Wildcat, in his article Indigenous Relationality Definitions and Methods, highlights the way that issues such as gender inequality and women oppression play a significant role in different indigenous groups, even when most of them are still fighting for their own sovereignty to this day.
Interesting. So, how was it before and after the Spanish conquest?
Well, firstly, Krista Douglas says that the Mapuche cosmovision is without gender disparities. In fact, relationship between men and women are governed by principles of equality and duality, just as the Mapuche deities balances both male and female energies. Women hold very important roles in the community as the leader of the medical community, although both men and women participate in various roles within the profession. The Machi, who are spiritual healers, are mostly women. Males, or Wentru Machi, occupy a very small percentage, and an even smaller percentage are homosexual. Opinions expressed through many interviews showed very clear discrepancies between the cosmovision and a strong influence of Occidental views and beliefs. As a result of colonization, Mapuche culture has been transformed, creating a pyramidal gender structure. Male Machis face prejudices and a lack of confidence in their ability as healers, while homophobic ideas have both rejected homosexual Machi, increased doubt of heterosexual male Machi. However, because Mapuche women are entrusted with preserving the culture, the strong role women play in the medical community has helped conserve the practices and cultures of Mapuche medicine, even when faced with more than 150 years of colonization.
Wow, I actually always hear that machis were central in Mapuche communities. I didn't know that they were male machis, but it is not strange after colonialism, male machis face prejudice for the new gender ideas that the European brought to our continent, such as women being actually frowned upon in social issues.
And even nowadays, they still face the stigma. But on the other side, it is pretty cool to know that Mapuches live in a matriarchy.
Yeah, I kind of see this even today's time. In many families, the mother figure is central in power dynamics. This may be a prejudice of mine, but I think that families with indigenous backgrounds are more inclined to live in matriarchies.
Well, considering this, I would also like to know your viewpoint. What are your thoughts on all of this? You've been pretty quiet.
Oh, yeah, I guess it's my time now, isn't it? Well, to start, I would like to point out how gender, as you describe it, it's something that doesn't have an universal definition. We only talk about Mapuche conception of gender, and there is more than we could count right now in different indigenous communities around the globe. Because of this, I believe it's important to consider that our conception of gender, even if it's flexible, can be a subtle tool of oppression.
Wait, how so? What do you mean by that?
I mean, we have authors like Judith Butler that help us conceive gender as something more dynamic, and their work is one of the most important in this manner. I believe the important part is to understand gender as a social construct. We construct gender, and so does the Mapuche. And if we try to impose the way we believe gender should be constructed, then we will continue the cycle of oppression of these communities. They at last have the final word.
I would also like to hear what you think about the feminist movement in indigenous communities. How do you think these would develop in this context?
That's also an interesting point. In this manner, I believe it's important to consider that, as we spoke for, through the work of Wildcat. Gender inequality is an ongoing issue in indigenous communities, even if they are themselves marginalized in groups. So we can talk about two different kinds of oppression that affects certain individuals inside the Mapuche community. On this, I would like to mention Elisa Loncon, an important figure in these indigenous communities, and how she states that Mapuche society today holds lots of patriarchal values inherited from external influence. This involves the restriction of women in public spaces and gender hierarchy. When we come to talk about Mapuche's definition of gender, we can assume that this is the only involves understanding the definition, but also having a critical point of view on it. This critical point of view needs to be supported by talking to Mapuche activists such as her. On this, we can also include figures such as Eliwa, a non-binary Mapuche trans woman, since people like her can offer us a distinct approach on how we can discuss these matters today.
I see. Thank you so much for your input. Looking at the time, it seems like today's episode is over. I want to thank everyone who has been supporting this series so far. Please press the like and subscribe button, and if you want, comment on what topic we should cover up next. This is all for the Ways of the Mapuche today, and we hope to see you soon. Bye!